So what's the secret? Passion. If you map your direction out of your passion, you will find your company, your life, you'll find fulfillment, you're going to find sustainability. Because passion is like gas in your tank. It keeps you going. Look, everybody can do well, and it feels great when all the boats are rising in your industry because the tide's rising, or you've got a nice tailwind behind you. I mean, that's easy. What we're planning for is when you've got a headwind and you're facing resistance and the tide's going out and things are breaking and not working or coming together or whatever. Because you've got to have a source of energy, and it's going to be your passion. In 1995, Gil Bailey published a book called Violence Unveiled, and he had received this advice from Howard Thurman, which he shares. Don't ask what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive, and go do that. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. Now, that's a big quote. You can take it a lot of different ways, but it starts to set the picture. That's what we're talking about. Do what makes you come alive. And in my book, The Next Level Entrepreneur, my subtitle is Focus Your Passion. Map your directions, build a great company. And the first part of this book, I have things called sage advice to apply. So Mr. A has written Max these letters and gives him advice. And so the sage advice to apply kind of summarizes the advice and puts it into a little exercise format for the reader to do. By the way, I'd love to give you a free ebook that I've put together that takes some of those sage advice to apply, because that's all about focusing your passions. And the last sage advice to apply in part 1 is called the entrepreneurial bent. So by the time we get to that point, now we're looking at, okay, so what's my entrepreneurial bent? What does all this lead to? I mean, so look, because you've got lots of passions out there. And some are just going to be hobbies. Some you're never going to pursue, but maybe there's one or two that you could actually turn into something entrepreneurial. And that's where this goes. So previously I talked about the hedgehog concept from Jim Collins, and Rackspace we did the hedgehog offsite. By the way, I brought my hedgehog to show you guys. He's really cute. It's not a real one. This is a squeeze toy for a dog, I think. But anyhow, it gives you an idea. This is what a hedgehog looks like. And here's what Collins says about this, is that foxes know many things, but a hedgehog, he knows one big thing. And those good to great companies, they basically do one big thing. And like I showed you with my client that did many, and we're talking completely unrelated things. They were never good at any of them. And in fact, Collins says in Good to Great that those companies, he describes, they are scattered, diffused, and inconsistent. And that completely describes my client. So here's what the hedgehog concept really looks like. He shows it. This is from the book. 3 overlapping circles. What are you deeply passionate about? What you can be the best in the world at, and what drives your economic engine. Okay? I think where most people start with this is, well, what am I good at? And that's where they start. And that's what leads you down to, it might work out well for a while because you've got rising tide, you've got tailwinds, but eventually, boom, you're going to hit a wall. And you're just doing it because I was good at it, I can make money at it, more profits, but yeah, I don't like it. And so I think the bigger circle to start with is, what are you deeply passionate about? Then move to, what can you be the best in the world at? And here's why. Because like when you do it that way, more than likely you may not be the best in the world at it right then. But because it's your passion and you're going to start to focus on it, and you can see ways so that it can drive your economic engine, you're going to get better and better at it. So I thought it'd be fun to go back and look at some of those companies and just show you some examples. What was the hedgehog? What was the hedgehog at Rackspace? Fanatical support. Now, I can tell you in the early years when they were first getting started, they could have called it fanatical support. They were not the best in the world at it, but they did become the best in the world at it. And it was fueled by their passion. And their passion was also in their vision statement. And it was to be one of the greatest service companies. Broussard Group, well, their hedgehog has been over the years delivering a consistent high-end customer experience. They're good at that. But they've had to learn how to do that, and in fact, they're still learning it. Well, in working with them last year, it wasn't so clear what their passion was, but it had been there. Look, there's an underlying passion that fuels something like that. And what it was transforming the contract furniture industry. Gigantic passion. And when you talk to the owner, entrepreneur, you hear that in his conversation that, look, this industry could be so much better. And so that's what he's about. And I thought, well, it'd be fun to show you guys what Live Truly Free's Hedgehog is. It's creating sustainable, profitable growth. And this is something I've been doing for over 25 years in 16 plus industries with many companies. And what fuels that? Well, my passion is I love entrepreneurs. I love guiding entrepreneurs to greater fulfillment. Simple. And it sustains me. And look, I've had the same ups and downs and business crashes and all kinds of things. And that passion of guiding entrepreneurs, loving entrepreneurs, seeing them have greater fulfillment, it's fueled me. So I can give you personal testimony on that. Well, I want to take you a step further in this because there's a progression here that is natural. So we start with the focus passions like I talk about in my book. We go to the hedgehog and we start putting all that together. And with your hedgehog, you've got a process, or you're going to develop one. And that's how you're going to be the best in the world at it. And here's like for example, to deliver fanatical support, Rackspace had a process. Broussard Group, for consistent high care, high experience, high customer experience, they have a process. And they actually have named it. It's called the Broussard Group Clock. And they begin the relationship at 1 o'clock with the customer, interview, design, and there's every hour has a different step and different people involved so that by 12 o'clock, the customer is completely delivered and satisfied. Well, there's also a Live Truly Free process. I've been using it for years. And this is the other thing too. I didn't just come up with this process and then start doing it. I started doing it and then I went back and I looked and I go like, oh, this is my process. And it leads to, I'm going to start at the top here of the triangle, greater fulfillment and freedom with profitability. And that's the key, is that you've got to have profitability as a business owner or you're so distracted and focused on all of the other stuff. There's no fulfillment, there's no freedom, there's no nothing. So how do you get there? I think there's two essential elements that are absolutely key. And then literally, I believe everything else falls underneath this. So understanding your numbers and mapping your direction will lead that way. Now, once you understand your numbers, you've got to start leading with your numbers and up that side of the triangle. And once you've mapped your direction, you've got to use it to create sustainable growth. And that's implementing and executing on those strategies. And that's what I mean. Everything falls under that. So you might be thinking, well, what about sales, George? Where does that go? It falls under that because you've got to have a marketing strategy. You've got to have a sales strategy, literally a hiring strategy, an operational strategy. All of that stuff is going to fall underneath that. But if you've got these, this is at that high level, then everything else is going to lead you toward fulfillment, freedom with profitability. The secret to our process, passion. Because we're going to source everything in it. We've got to have it sourced in your passions. So this opens the door to kind of a whole new chapter that I want to go into. And I want to get into fulfillment and freedom a little bit and how you don't have to wait to start to have that. How you can start to have fulfillment and freedom now, even though you may not be leading with your numbers and you may not have sustainable growth. In fact, you may not even be profitable. Okay? Or you're checking your cash pulse and it may be negative. You can still have fulfillment. You can still have freedom. So keep watching the videos and find out more.